We've got a little bit of a confession. So this was supposed to be the top 5 time savers in pipeline, and it's actually changed. It's now the top 10 time savers in pipeline. By the time we dug even deeper, we found some other things that we just couldn't leave off of the list. So you get an added bonus 10 items that help you save time in pipeline. Then we're going to dive into pipeline. Okay, so like I mentioned, 10 things that are going to help you save time. And obviously the system's built around being super simple and saving you time, but these 10 items in particular, some you may know of, some you may not, but should really help you and your team save time every day, given whatever your roles are. Alrighty? Okay, so first one I wanted to go over. And again, some of these you may know, a lot of them we mentioned during webinars, so if you attend these a lot, some of them will be familiar to you. But the first one is when you're on your transactions list that you get to by clicking up here, maybe depending on your role, you need to change several transactions in one particular session. Maybe you need to update all of their close dates or make similar changes throughout. Whatever it is, you need to actually run your search, get this list of transactions, and then do something with each of these transactions. Instead of clicking each one, let's say I click Hillside, I go to that, I make my changes, I save it, I hit back, or try and get, or maybe even hit transactions to get back to my list and run my search again. Instead of doing all that, it's a lot more convenient and efficient to open them in separate tabs. That way you can then manage what you need to do to each of those transactions, close it, and still have this main list intact. So let's say I needed to do something with these first 5 transactions on this list. So I'm going to open those, right click, and open each of those in a new tab. Right click, open it in a new tab. Right click, open it in a new tab, and right click, open it in a new tab. So right there I've got my 5, actually I've got some other things open there, but these 5 transactions that I've opened in separate tabs. Now I can come over to each of them, go to Blaze Lane, make my changes, edit, do whatever I'm going to do, right? Save it, and then when I'm all done, just close it. And then I'm automatically on the next one. I make my changes, I close it, I make my changes, I close it, close it, close it, and now I'm back at my original list here, intact. Maybe I'm going to do something with some others, but again, it allows me to keep those independent, make my changes, and keep this intact instead of going back and forth and back and forth. So just a little tip there. That's the first one. Second one relates to what we always emphasize because it is such a huge time saver, and that is using your relative due dates. So let me hop over here to the admin section and then to checklists. So if you set up your checklists to be have due dates that are relative to other dates on the transaction, for example, this one's due 3 business days after the acceptance date. Again, if you set these at the checklist template level, and then when you're on a transaction, let's say I'm on this transaction here, and then I go to add that checklist, my due dates will already be assigned based on that relative due date that I assigned at the checklist template level. So that is a huge time saver, because if I set it up once at that checklist template level, then that means every time that template gets used on a transaction, I don't have to do these individually for every task, every time this checklist gets used. So a huge, huge, huge time saver. Then I've got my automatic reminders, et cetera, that go out based on that. So definitely encourage you setting those up and saving time that way. Okay, so that is the second item. Third item, all of these are actually, I could say for each one, just super time saving and our favorites because they're just make life convenient for you. But the third one is drag and drop. It's kind of a universal term because we do it so much throughout the system. But it's most helpful for when you're sending messages, right? So let's say I've got this message here. Let me clear out this message. So let's say I've got this message here, and I need to, let's say, send it to a particular contact, right? So I've got my contact John Lewis here. I can drag that person to the external email addresses area, save myself typing that email address out, right? So easy, easy peasy there. Also notice when I dragged, it highlighted 2 areas. So I can either drag the person to this external email address area, or I can drag them to the message area here. If I drag them to the message area, it shares their contact information. So for example, if you wanted to share, let's say the buyer's information with another agent or an inspector, you can drag that information down there. When it sends, you can see it's already nicely formatted. It bolds that person's name, etc. Okay, easy time-saving drag and drop there. You can also drag outside agents in the same manner, right, to the email address or the contact area. Whenever you drag something to the contact area, it knows to nicely format it below whatever's already in the message. I can drag agents information to share that contact information, etc. Okay, so easy to share that contact information and send to people. I can also drag tasks, right? So if I am, well, you know that you can actually append incomplete, overdue, or let me check one here, or completed tasks, right? So if I wanted to attach all the tasks based on them being incomplete, completed, or overdue to the end of my message, for example, if let's say I wanted to send to an agent all those tasks that are incomplete, I could do that. But I can also drag and drop one-offs, independent tasks over to the message area and share those. And when I do, it'll include any due dates, any rules associated with that, etc. And again, when I preview it or send it, it nicely formats those. You can see these are italicized, etc. Okay. If you ever want to do any formatting yourself, by the way, you can click formatting tips. You can see all the ways to format within your message. Okay, so dragging and dropping one-offs, you can do that. Even checked items here, right? It'll show that they're checked. So nice information there. You can even drag an entire checklist. So if I drag this, it will, let me expand that. Whenever you see these little lines in the corner, you can make your area bigger, both in Pipeline and just throughout the web. But anyway, so I dragged this whole checklist and it brought over the whole thing. So easy drag and drop, save a ton of time from having to try to either copy this or type it, obviously, etc. Okay. You can also drag and drop. Let's say I had a comment on a doc and I wanted to share that comment. I can drag that up to the message area as well. And again, it will format it nicely when I preview it. Okay, with the person's, the author, the document name bolded, etc. Okay, so lots of drag and drop capabilities there. You can also sort of DIY your drag and drop. Anything that you can highlight, depending on your browser, anything that you can highlight, you can typically drag. For example, if I have to remember if this is Firefox or Chrome that allows this, but if I highlighted this information, for example, I can then drag it down here. Okay, that must be only Firefox that you can do that. So if you use Firefox, it'll allow you to do that, highlight and then drag and drop whatever you've highlighted down into there. Okay. So just a tidbit there. Okay, so that's another time saver. Another related to where we're already at is your email templates. Email templates save you a ton of time for really obvious reasons. If you set up a template, and the way that you do it is to either start a message, start sending a message here, and then when you're done, say save this message as a reusable template, right? And then when you send it, it'll be later be listed in your message templates dropdown. That's one way. You can also go over to your personal profile. Let me open this in a separate tab. And you can create new email templates there under email templates and then add email template. You can also manage them here as well. Okay. But heading back over to the transaction, if I've got an email template already created, I can simply select it. Maybe I do this one, right? And then it automatically will have the information that you need, obviously, as templates do. Okay, so using those can save a ton of time. And that leads into the last one, which is autofill tags. If you use your message templates in conjunction with your autofill tags, you will save a ton of time. These are autofill tags here, right? They live under this little drop down here, and they allow you to insert information from the transaction based on whatever tag you select. So for example, if I wanted to include the agent's first name, I can select agent first name. And typically I'll embed that in my message, dear or hello, agent first name, comma, etc. Let me do a different one here so you can see that, right? Dear seller name, the property will be listed on the listing date, etc. Okay, and that way when you preview the message, oops, I don't have a listing date, but you can see that the person's name here, right? Let me do my other one that I planned on doing so you can see the preview. Okay. Okay, now I'm missing the buyer name, right? That you can see we'll be meeting at the title company listed below. It's got that title company's information pulled directly from the transaction. So combine, if, as you can see here where I've got these errors, if you've got a template where the information you're referencing doesn't exist yet on the transaction, you'll get an error. So that way you're not sending out an erroneous message. But again, setting those up so that you've got that information that'll pull the custom information from the transaction and be specific to that transaction can save you a ton of time, because then when you're ready to send one of your standard messages, you simply select your message template, preview it to make sure it's okay, and then send it. And then combine it, of course, with your dragging to contacts, etc. It can save a ton of time. Alrighty. Those were the first 5. Next one is head over to our home page here. Pretty obvious one, but your home page. Your home page has a ton of information that can help you decide where you want to go and what's going to get you the most relevant information that you need, or the relevant place that you need to address first. For example, if you see here your 5 tasks due today, I can see that 3 of them are for the Hallmark transaction, 2 are for the Granger Circle Allen transaction. So it'll just point me to where I need to go so I don't waste time trying to find out which needs my greatest attention. And depending on your role, the most important area may be any of these areas. Maybe you mostly focus on which tasks are due, or which how many unassigned docs were added or are pending, or if you're the doc reviewer, how many docs need to be reviewed. Or perhaps this main one here, how many transactions are closing. So determine what your workflow is. Make sure that section is expanded so you can see it all the time. If it's one that you're not interested, maybe I don't review docs, so I can hide this list. That makes less clutter for me, right? Or maybe I'm only focusing on tasks, so I'll hide this one as well. So use your homepage to your advantage to drive you where you need to go. Okay. Next area, heading back over to a transaction, is type ahead. This is big because it's not visible. It's something that you can do, but you won't know unless you know about it. It can save you time once you learn about it. So there are a few areas where you can do type ahead that you may not be aware of. The first is, let's say, remember those message templates we were talking about a moment ago? Most offices have much longer lists than these, probably several pages full. And finding the one you need can take a bit of time to eyeball it. So let's say I was looking for the welcome message template. Instead of going to find it, and I see it right here, but if my list were long, I probably wouldn't. Instead of going to find it, I could just start typing welcome. Whoops, come back here. Sorry, try it again. Welcome, right? And you can see so far I've typed WELC. So even though it's not displaying what I've typed, it'll help me whittle down my selection. Again, if you've got long lists, that can be hugely time saving. Okay. It can also help in helping you determine how you set up your templates. We'll see some offices that have specific templates for specific offices or locations or teams. In that case, you can name your message templates according to the team. For example, let me backspace over that so I can see all of these. Let's say I've got a Southwest region office, right? Maybe I name all of my message templates for the Southwest region to start with SWR. That way, whoever comes here can start typing SWR, and it'll show only those that are for the SWR location. The other type ahead that you may not be aware of is when you're adding a checklist, right? So let's say I'm looking for what do I got here? Let's say I'm looking for one of the lease transactions. So I can just start typing lease, right? And it'll whittle down my selection for me so I don't have to, again, wade my way through a long list of checklist names. Obviously, we recommend that you set up your checklist to be automatically assigned to the transactions, but in cases where you need to manually assign them, that can be helpful. Okay. And then the mother of all type ahead is for doc names. whenever a doc is being named on a transaction, and that can be whether you're uploading it, whether you're assigning it, or whether you're editing its name here, okay? Whenever you do, the system automatically facilitates getting that doc named based on standard document names if you've set them up. So definitely encourage you to do so, because when you do, you get that benefit of type ahead. So if I were to, for example, just type MO, right? Automatically with just 2 characters, I've reduced my selection to likely the document that I want to see right here at the top. Okay, and then I just select it. So hugely time saving for whoever's naming those docs in all 3 of those scenarios, adding, assigning, or changing. And then obviously for you, you get that standardization of your doc name. So you've got super clean doc names. So just win-win all around, but particularly for that time saving of getting the docs named with just a few keystrokes. Okay. So that is the, what is that? We're on 7. Okay, so the next one is on our tasks page. So let's head over there. I'm going to repurpose this tab and go to our tasks page. So if you train and allow your agents to agent check their tasks, like this particular one is here, that yellow check mark means that an agent has checked it and has indicated that they have completed the task and it's ready for an admin to take a look at. If you need to learn more about that, feel free to reach out to us, or you can head over to our help site and look up agent checked. Those are super, super helpful for communicating when tasks have been completed by the agents. But anyway, from a time-saving standpoint for you as admins, when you come to this task page, if you click the agent checked button here, that'll allow you to view only those tasks that have been agent checked, which are more than likely the ones that you want to address first, to go ahead and take a look at to confirm that they've actually been done based on what the agent has said. Okay, so nice time saving to go ahead and train your agents to check those when they've completed them, to communicate to you that they've been done, and then you can come here and work from this nice filtered list. Okay. Next item, second to the last here, is the help site. I know it's not directly within the system, but because it's got this awesome search feature, any question that you've got or anything that you want to learn more about is so easy to do so. So if, let's say, I wanted to come here and learn a little bit more about locations, right? Oops, I actually have my cursor in there, right? Locations. And I can see all of the, or I can see the most relevant search results here, adding locations, managing locations. If that's not what I need, I can hit enter, and it'll give me a broader list of where that word location is included, right? So it may not be in the title, but understanding admins and things that are related to locations. So huge, huge, huge. Let's say I wanted to learn more about mail drop addresses, right? Understanding mail drop addresses, finding your mail drop address, etc. So a huge way to find exactly what you need. Obviously, you can always reach out to us, but this may be more instant in cases where you need a question answered really quickly, okay? All right, and then the last one, the mother of all time saving, is actually, I don't know, I might say that could be the case for the relative due dates on checklists, but maybe a tie. Okay, but for sure, one of the top ones are your shortcuts over here, right? Let me head over to the transactions page. Whenever you have run a search and or sort, you can save that search or sort as a shortcut, a custom shortcut. So if it's a search that you run regularly, maybe you run it each day when you come in, maybe you run it multiple times throughout the day, maybe you run it weekly, etc. Saving that can save you time, again, either on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or what have you. So here are some examples. You might want to save your list for transactions closing in the month, where transactions where emails were received today. Maybe you sort your transactions list a particular way and you want to save that, and instead of coming just to the transactions tab, you just click your main transactions list, and it'll take you to that sorted, pre-sorted list based on how you've sorted it. Maybe status change today, transactions with status change today. Maybe you're tracking particular leads. Anything that you can search either in based on these dates here, any of these criteria, anything that you search up here right? And this is a lot of different options here. You can save this as a shortcut. So essentially, once you run a search, let's say I were to search for transactions that expire tomorrow, right? And then I search that, I can add that as a shortcut. Okay, once I add it as a click add it as a shortcut, name it and save it, it'll save it over here. Okay, I'm not going to try because I've reached my limit, but it's that simple to be able to run your whatever that meaningful search is for you, name it, save it. You've got it at your disposal here on the transactions list as well as on the home page. Alrighty, and I do have one honorable mention, and that is, let me go back to my 733 here. Actually, let me add a few more checklists here. I'm just gonna add the same one just to get that loaded up. And that feature I'm trying to show you is doc name matching, right? So let's say I've got a doc here named HOA deadline. And then I click it to take a look at it. Notice what happens over here on the left when I click it. So I click it, it will scroll down and find that matching doc name for me. So if I've got a super long list of tasks, that'll save me time from having to go through each of them to find which doc actually matches. Okay, so again, I'll do that one more time. I click it, it scrolls down. Checklist scrolling has to be on for this to actually work. It scrolls down and highlights temporarily, as you can see, highlights that doc for me. Now notice what happens. I've got a doc name HOA here and a doc name HOA headline. When I say that it highlights the matching doc, matching to the system means that this doc name is contained in the task name. So here, when I click HOA, it considers that a match because this doc name is contained in the task name. Okay, so that means when you're setting up your tasks and you're setting up your doc names, just set them up to be sure that they quote unquote match to take advantage of that feature. Okay, a little sneak peek here is that in an upcoming release, we're actually going to have that reverse matching. So that when we're not quite sure how, but maybe hover or somehow indicate that you want to see the matching doc to the task, it'll highlight the matching doc in that direction, right? So hovering or whatever over here will highlight the matching doc there. Okay, just a heads up. Alrighty, and so that's it. That's what I've got for time savers ×2 in the system.